This video is about the main theme of Chapter 4, Be a Light Unto Yourself, which based on self-motivation and independence. I've make a motivational speech from the main theme of this chapter for you in AI voice of Sir Osho.
You were not born to follow, you were born to be, to stand in your own light, to walk on your own path. Yet somewhere along the way, the world taught you otherwise, that you must obey, that you must fit in, that safety lies in imitation. Slowly, subtly, your fire was tamed. You began to doubt your inner voice. You looked to others for answers. You waited for permission to live fully, but no one can give you that permission. No one can awaken your power but you. The voice you've been ignoring, that soft pull toward freedom, that whisper that says there's more, that is your truth knocking. Osho says, the real man is not a follower, not even of God. He stands alone in his own aloneness. This is not loneliness. It is not isolation. It is the strength of knowing you are complete in yourself, that you are enough, that you do not need approval to be real. The greatest motivation comes not from others, but from within. It's born in the silence where you finally stop asking the world who you should be. It's born the moment you choose to trust your own heartbeat more than someone else's opinion. But this choice takes courage. The world does not celebrate the rebel. It fears him, because the independent spirit cannot be controlled, and those who cannot be controlled become dangerous not in violence but in truth, because their very being questions the structure of conformity. You have been taught to fear standing alone, but the truth is that is where all power lies. No one has ever reached their highest self by staying comfortable, by staying silent, by staying the same. Growth demands solitude. It demands risk. It demands you walk into the unknown, not because it is safe, but because it is yours. So stop waiting. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting for support, for permission, for someone to come save you. They will not come, and that is your greatest liberation. You are all you need. You are your own beginning. To go independent is not to reject the world. It is to transcend it, to move beyond its fears, its expectations, its cages. It is to finally say, I will live as I am, and that is enough. And from that inner declaration, a new kind of fire is born. A fire that doesn't burn to destroy, it burns to create, to sculpt a life that is utterly your own. Not borrowed, not copied, yours, but independence is not rebellion for rebellion's sake. It is not about fighting the world, it's about no longer fighting yourself. When you stop pretending, when you stop shrinking, when you stop apologizing for your own truth, something magnificent begins to unfold within you. You stop reacting and start responding. You stop surviving and start living. Osho reminds us that motivation cannot be injected from the outside. It has to arise from within like a fountain. External motivation is temporary, like a spark. But when you begin to live from your center, the energy that moves you is eternal. It's not about pushing yourself, it's about discovering the wellspring of energy that is already there, dormant, waiting for you to say yes. And saying yes to your independence means saying no to dependency, not only on people, but on fear, on old identities, on stories that no longer serve you. It means dropping the illusion that someone else holds the keys to your destiny. They don't. You've always held them. You just forgot where you placed them. Look within. That's where your real journey begins. The mind will tell you to wait, to plan, to gather more knowledge, but wisdom doesn't wait. Wisdom acts, not out of impulse, but out of deep inner clarity, out of a stillness that is not afraid to move. And yes, the path of independence is not always easy. You may stumble, you may fall, but each fall is sacred. Each stumble teaches you something that no textbook or teacher ever could. You learn to walk, not through instructions, but through walking. Through failing forward, through discovering your own rhythm. When you live as a follower, you may avoid mistakes, but you also avoid yourself. You become a shadow, a ghost of what you could be. But when you choose to lead your own life, even your failures are yours. And there is great beauty in that. This is what true self-motivation looks like, not discipline imposed by force, but a love for your own growth, a joy in becoming, a hunger to know your potential, to stretch your limits, to see what happens when you stop holding back. Don't ask how long it will take. Don't ask if you're ready. You were born ready. The very fact that you're listening to this now, feeling this pull inside, that's your soul knocking on the door, and the only thing that can answer it. Is your action, so start messy, start unsure, start even if your hands shake, just start, because every step you take in the direction of your truth multiplies your strength. Each act of courage becomes a foundation. And soon, what once seemed impossible will feel natural, not because the world changed, but because you did, and you don't owe anyone an explanation for that. Your path doesn't need to be understood by others, it only needs to be lived by you. And as you begin to walk that path, something beautiful begins to shift inside you. You stop waiting for signs. You stop needing motivation posters, or pep talks, or external validation. Your very existence becomes your message. Your choices, your discipline, your silence, they all speak louder than any words. This is when you truly begin to own your life. You no longer ask, "What should I do?" Instead, you ask, "What aligns with my being?" And from there, clarity follows. You're not just doing things to impress, to earn, or to gain. You're doing them because they are the truest expression of who you are. That is the foundation of independence. And independence doesn't mean isolation. It means wholeness. You are no longer begging for pieces of yourself in someone else's mirror. You're no longer seeking completion outside of yourself. You are complete now, and that completeness allows you to love freely, to give without fear, to speak without trembling. Osho says the man of awareness does not need a map, he trusts the compass within. This is the real shift, from motivation based on goals to motivation born from presence, from living in someday to living now. And yes, the world may call you selfish. Let them, because true independence often looks selfish to those still living in chains. But it is not selfishness, it is self, connection. It is the highest form of responsibility to not betray yourself, to not live a borrowed life, to be who you came here to be. You must become willing to disappoint others in order to not disappoint yourself. That is the price of freedom. That is the path of the awakened individual. Not out of arrogance, but out of deep reverence for your own existence. You are not here to repeat what has been done. You are here to create from your own center, your own fire, your own truth. And when you begin to live this way, your entire relationship with fear changes. You no longer fear failure. You fear wasting your potential. You no longer fear rejection. You fear rejecting your own voice. You no longer fear solitude. You begin to crave it because you've discovered how rich your inner world really is. Self-motivation isn't a trick. It's not a hack. It's the natural energy that arises when you stop running from yourself, when you stop diluting your truth to be acceptable, when you finally look in the mirror and say, "I am ready to walk with me, no matter who comes or who leaves." Because the truth is, People may walk away. Not everyone will understand your journey, but you will, and that's enough. You were not born to be understood by the crowd. You were born to be real, to be wild, to be unshakably you, and that kind of presence. It changes everything. Once you understand that your power comes from within, the need for external direction fades away. You no longer search for gurus, masters, or saviors outside yourself. You become your own guide, your own witness, your own flame. That is the essence of true self, motivation when you recognize that the answers are not in the sky, not in scriptures, not in others' opinion. They are curled up quietly within your own being, waiting to be heard. Osho speaks again and again about awareness not as a technique, but as a way of being. When you become aware, truly aware, you cannot be manipulated. You cannot be misled. You stop chasing borrowed dreams and begin living your own, and in that moment you move from existence to essence. Independence is not achieved by accumulating things or by being louder or more aggressive. It comes from a deep silence, a silence where you no longer resist your own nature, where you stop dividing yourself, where the inner conflict dissolves, and what remains is effortless alignment, your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, all moving in one direction. This is not passivity, it is the deepest power, the power of one who is whole, one who doesn't need to control others because they have mastered themselves. And mastery doesn't mean perfection. It means presence. It means returning again and again to your center no matter how many times the world tries to pull you out. The truly motivated person doesn't wait for inspiration. He becomes inspiration. He doesn't look for someone to push him. His very breath becomes a commitment. Every sunrise is a reminder that he still has life and therefore he still has purpose. You don't need a dramatic transformation to become free. You just need to choose yourself moment by moment. To say yes when you mean yes, to say no without guilt, to follow what enlivens you, even if no one else understands it, especially then, and what you'll notice is this: once you stop needing others to motivate you, you begin to inspire them effortlessly. Not by force, not by teaching, simply by being. Your light reminds others of their own. Your fire gives them permission to burn. Your freedom shakes them awake. That's the beauty of independence it spreads. Quietly, powerfully, you don't have to shout. You don't need to prove anything. Your very existence becomes the message. It is possible to live in truth. So if you are listening now, if something inside you is stirring, rising, wanting more, honor that. That is not restlessness, that is not impatience. That is your soul refusing to settle for less than what you are. You don't need to wait. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to begin, with trembling hands if you must, with uncertainty in your steps, but begin, because every step you take in the direction of your own truth is a revolution, a quiet inner rebellion that changes everything, not just for you, but for the world around you. The beauty of self, motivation, and independence is that they are not destinations, they are journeys. Journeys of constant growth, constant refinement, and most importantly, constant return to your authentic self. It is not about reaching a point where you have everything figured out, where you are flawless. No, it is about becoming comfortable with the unknown, with the uncertainty, and with the beautiful mess of being human. True independence comes when you stop chasing external validation and begin seeking the approval of your own heart. When you stand in front of the mirror and know with unwavering certainty that you are enough. that you are worthy of everything your heart desires simply because you exist. Osho reminds us that when we are truly ourselves, we no longer have to compete. We no longer feel threatened by others' success or compare our journey to theirs. The game of comparison ceases because you realize that your journey is uniquely yours. There's no one else to be, there's no one else to compete with. You are the final word on your own life. This is not about pride or ego. It is about the peace of knowing you are not here to measure up, but to live in your fullest capacity, to manifest everything you were meant to be without shame, without hesitation. When you begin to live this way, a strange thing happens. You will notice that the people around you start to shift as well. Your energy affects theirs. The way you live your truth unapologetically gives others permission to do the same. You become a mirror reflecting back their own potential, their own power. You become a living example of what it looks like to live authentically and independently. The more you follow your truth, the more the universe conspires to support you. Opportunities will begin to align in ways you could never predict. The path will open, not because you try to control it, but because you trust it. The universe doesn't need to be forced. It responds to your alignment, your energy, and your willingness to step fully into who you are. So, stand tall in your independence. Stand tall in your motivation, not because the world demands it, but because you were born to be exactly who you are. No more, no less. Let the world think what it will. Let them call you reckless. Let them call you dreamer. Let them call you crazy. And while they are busy trying to make sense of you, you will be busy living a life they can only imagine. This is your time. This is your moment. You do not need the world to validate your existence. You do not need approval to live your truth. All you need is to believe in yourself, to trust that everything you need is already within you. That the power, the strength, and the motivation to live independently comes not from the world, but from the quiet, powerful force inside you that is waiting to be awakened. Now is the time to stand up, take that first step, and never look back.